The New York Islanders score a gutsy 3-2 win over the Panthers in Florida. We'll talk about what they did right, plus who should start in goal Saturday night after the strong performance by Semyon Varlamov. All that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Friday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. The New York Islanders with a big win. We'll get to all of that. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you can send us an email to lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever's on your mind. You could also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR vs NYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all season long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. We have got a lot to discuss, but the big news is that the New York Islanders came out with a big, tough, hard-fought 3-2 win over the Florida Panthers. And, this game wasn't easy. First period really did not go the Islanders' way, and they were fortunate to be tied 1-1. Yeah, the Islanders had a goal called back, Ryan Pollock scoring. They essentially ruled goalie interference, so the goal is overturned. Then Pollock scores again, so that was a benefit. But the good news is that in spite of being outplayed in the first period, the Islanders managed to hang in there, tie the game, and that was sort of weathering the storm. And a lot of credit goes to Semyon Varlamov. Neither of the two goals that were allowed by the Islanders in this game, the first by Vladimir Tarasenko, the second by Alexander Barkov, neither one of them were considered soft goals on the part of Varly. He makes 27 saves in 29 shots. And realistically, after the first period, this game was a lot more even. I think the Islanders were the better team in the second period. And then they sort of held on in the third. And look, this was a physical, a little bit chippy kind of a game. I think, if I'm doing unsung hero of this game, not hero, but unsung hero, Kyle McLean, to me, has to get some attention. He had 3 hits, but the reason he was in front of the Panthers net throughout the game, just annoying Anthony Stolarz, their goaltender, and it ended up paying off just enough. So to me, the fact that the Islanders didn't quit, that they went to the net, the Islanders are a different team. Here's the bottom line. And I'm going to go back to the Ted Nolan kind of days. But essentially, you got to go into those dirty areas. And you got to get those goals. This Islander team, with the exception of the top line, is not the kind of team that is going to be fancy and beat you because they, are faster than you, or they made spectacular moves That's going to be the exception rather than the rule. So to make up for that, if you're the New York Islanders, what do you have to do? You have to get down in front of the goal, get those rebounds, get those deflections, those tip-ins, all of that stuff you have to do. You have to go to the net, screen the goalie, disturb things, get under their skin. It really isn't. There's no substitute for that. And when the Islanders do that, and they did it against the Panthers last night, they are a much better team than when they try to be fancy and stay on the perimeter and just, then it's one shot and done. When you go into those dirty areas, you get a second shot, a third shot. You get under the goalie's skin. So even if you don't get a second or third shot, the goalie's a little agitated. And let's face it, that's a good thing if you can get a goalie thinking about something other than stopping the puck. So that, to me, was an important positive for the New York Islanders in this game. Another thing I loved about this game, and I think it's definitely worth mentioning in passing, the Islanders, all goals in this game by both teams were at even strength. But the Panthers line of Matthew Tkachuk, Carter Verhaeghe, and Sam Bennett, which is a darn good line, they were on the ice for all three Islander goals. They were a -3 in this game. And I really kind of liked the fact that, the Islanders took advantage of this line and basically, got the job done, for lack of a better way to put it. And look, there are still some things that need to change. The Islanders' power play in this game was 0 for 6. Imagine, if you will, just getting one power play goal in this game. It would have really made a difference for the Islanders. And, unfortunately, the power play still needs work. And look, okay, the last power play, there was a double minor when Cal Clutterbuck got a high stick to the face. And so it was a 4-minute power play. You're winning 3-2. There's about, 5.5 minutes left in the game. I can understand not being overly aggressive in that power play. Not a problem. I can deal with that. But, if you get one power play goal out of those 6 chances, the complexion of the game changes. And look, let's face it, if the Islanders are going to go on a run late in the season here and make a push for the playoffs, the power play is going to have to be better. But here's some more good news. The Islanders got help on Thursday night. The Flyers go into Montreal and lose to the Canadiens 4-1. The Capitals go into Toronto and lose to the Leafs 5-1. And the Detroit Red Wings visit Carolina and lose to the Hurricane 4-0. Yeah, Pittsburgh beat Columbus, but you know what? Pittsburgh's still 3 points behind the Islanders. Out of all the teams that are still in the playoff hunt that were playing on Thursday night, if I had to pick one of them to win, Pittsburgh would have been my choice. Getting the Flyers, Capitals, and Red Wings to lose while the Islanders win definitely is a step forward for the Isles. And now the Islanders are 4 points behind the Capitals, 5 points behind the Flyers, but the Islanders have a couple of games in hand on Philly. They still have to pass Detroit, but they're 2 points behind the Wings, and the Islanders have a game in hand. So, look, this was almost a perfect storm as far as the scoreboard watch was concerned, but there's more that needs to be done here for the New York Islanders to make the playoffs. And obviously, the first and foremost thing is they have to play more consistently like they did for most of the game in Florida, and they have to give themselves a chance. The scoreboard watching will take care of itself if the Islanders win most of their games down the stretch. Look, we've got more to get to on today's show. We are definitely going to have our hero and GOAT of the game. We will also discuss who should start in goal for the Islanders on Saturday, and we'll preview Saturday's game against the Tampa Bay Lighting. And oh, yes, for our Islanders' birthday of the day, a forward who was with the team from the mid 80s to the early 90s and had back-to-back 20-goal seasons for the Isles. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We've got all that and a lot more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Well, make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hero and GOAT of the game. I'm thinking about this, and there's a couple of ways I can go. But I'm going to go hero. I'm going to tie. Yeah, it's a cop-out, but I'm going to tie. Casey Cizikas, he had 3 assists at one point. They took one away from Zeke. But Casey Cizikas, 2 assists. He's my second choice. I am going to give the hero of the game to J.G. Pageau. 4 shots on goal, a goal, an assist. He had the game-winning goal, which is always obviously very important, and then winning 8 of 11 faceoffs, 3 hits, 2 block shots, played 17 minutes, 44 seconds. For me, J.G. Pageau definitely getting the hero of the game award. As far as the GOAT of the game, I'm going to give it to the power play, going 0 for 6. I was going to give it to Noah Dobson. He had sort of an own goal in the, one of the Panthers scores went in right off of him in front. And then on the other goal, he kind of struggled a little bit to pick up his man, but he also did have an assist. To me, the power play going 0 for 6 is the bigger issue for the Islanders. So the power play will be, to me, the GOAT of the game, the hero of the game, J.G. Pageau. The other hero of the game, I mentioned Casey Cizikas, but if I had to go 3 stars, the third player, and I would probably make this player the second star, Semyon Varlamov. And Varly coming up big and making 27 saves to earn the W. The question to me now becomes this. Yeah, Ilya Sorokin is your number 1 goalie. No question about it. Long term, he's the guy. Ilya Sorokin has also been struggling in a big way lately. Whether he's tired or he's just not getting, good support. It's really tough to say, but right now, Ilya Sorokin has lost his last 6 starts. And yeah, I'm not going to blame Sorokin for all of them, but he also hasn't been that outstanding player that we saw a year ago when he was a Vezina Trophy finalist. And the amazing thing is, during this, losing streak, he's only had, in the last 4 games, he's only had a 900 or better save percentage once. And, again, sometimes it's not just the number of saves you make or the percentage, it's also when you make them. Right now, Ilya Sorokin just seems either tired or just a little bit off. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, Semyon Varlamov has been a world beater, but he certainly played better against the Florida Panthers. That much he did for sure. And, to get him back into the swing of things, the team needs to ride the hot hand. And right now, Varly is the hot hand. And, he has earned the Islanders a point in each of his last 4 decisions. That's 3 wins and 1 overtime loss. And yeah, you got to go back, that streak, because he doesn't play all that often. It goes back to March 10th with the win in Anaheim that ended the winning streak. But at the same time, he's 3-0-1. 3 of those 4 games, he was over a 914 or better save percentage. And he's more rested, and yet he's playing better. You go down to Tampa Saturday, and by the way, you could hear every minute of that game on SiriusXM. Just go to the SXM app and do a search for Islanders. That's a 7 o'clock start Saturday night. But, to me, the Islanders right now have 10 games left. They're going to have to win, in my mind, 7 of them. I want 14, 15 points out of the possible 20 to have a semi-realistic chance to get in. There is no room for error right now. To me, if I'm Patrick Roy, I ride the hot hand. I go with Varly against the Tampa Bay Lighting on Saturday. And, if Varly falters, you can obviously go back to Sorokin after that. I have no problem with that. But to me, right now, the team has played better in front of Varly. And I think Varly has been more consistent lately than Ilya Sorokin. Yeah, I'm not saying Varly takes over as the starter for the rest of the season. I'm not even suggesting anything like that. But right now, you take it one game at a time. Patrick Roy, as a former goalie, one of the best that ever played the game, he knows goalies. And I know he'll defer to the goalie coach, and, we'll discuss that. But to me, if I'm the coach of the New York Islanders, I stick with Varlamov Saturday night in Tampa. And hopefully Varly is able to, step up. Well, look, whoever plays in goal, hopefully is able to step up. But I would definitely go with Semyon Varlamov if it were up to me. We'll see what Patrick Roy does come Saturday night. We have got more to get to on today's show. Let's preview Saturday's game in Tampa Bay, another must-win game. And yeah, the Lightning, by the way, they've been red hot as of late. So we'll talk about that. We'll preview that game, plus our Islanders birthday of the day, all that and more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Saturday night, Islanders continue their playoff push in Tampa. Another tough opponent in the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning have won 2 in a row, and in their last 10 games, Tampa Bay is 8-1-1. They were sort of, on the cusp of missing the playoffs. They now have, after that run, a little bit of a cushion. They are, as of now, 10 points ahead of the Islanders. Both teams have 10 games to play. So Islanders are not catching the Lightning, barring a total collapse. By the way, just to make it even tougher, Tampa Bay, a little bit above 500 on the road, but at home, 22-9-4 this year. So it is not going to be an easy opponent in an easy venue in Tampa Bay. And, you look at the Lightning, they do it with offense. And that may be a little bit of a surprise when you've got Andrei Vasilevskiy as your goalie, but Vasilevskiy not having a great year. A 2.90 goals against, an 8.98 save percentage. Those are, just like Ilya Sorokin, Vasilevskiy is just not as sharp this year. So Tampa Bay, 5th in the league in goals scored, but 23rd in the league in goals against. And special teams have been huge for the Bolts. And here is the matchup that I think is the key to the game for the Islanders. The Islanders, as we know, have the last worst penalty kill in the NHL. Guess who has the number 1 power play? You guessed it. The Tampa Bay Lightning, 28.9% conversion rate. The PK is 6th at 82.5. So you can see basically special teams have been big. The Lightning have 2 players right now with 42 goals. Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point. Kucherov just having an unbelievable season. To go with the 42 goals, 124 points, 82 assists, 33 assists on the power play to go with 12 power play goals. And who leads the team in power play goals? It's not Kucherov. It's not Braden Point. It's Steven Stamkos. Don't forget him. He only has 29 goals. And out of those 29, a little more than half, 15, come on the power play. The line combinations for the Lightning, Braden Point, Anthony Duclair, and Nikita Kucherov are the top line. Anthony Cirelli, Brandon Hagel, and Steven Stamkos are the second line. The third line, basically Nicholas Paul, Michael Esamont, and Mitchell Chaffee. And then the fourth line, Luke Glendening, Tanner Jeannot, and Taylor Mott. On defense, Victor Hedman and Darren Radish, the top pair. Matt Dumba and Eric Cernak are the second pair. And then Emil Martinson, Leelberg, and Nick Perbix are the third pair. The goalies right now, Vasilevskiy and Jonas Johansson. Michael Sergachev out and on IR, unlikely to return. Can't stress the importance of this game for the New York Islanders. The PK has got to step up. And, again, if the power play can get something for you, that is kind of gravy. But the PK is going to be vital in this game against a very dangerous Tampa Bay Lightning power play. And the Islanders, again, no margin for error in this very tight race in the Eastern Conference. They are 4 points back with 10 games to go. And we'll see if they can make up some ground. Should be a big, big game. And, that will end the Florida portion of the road trip. So, some good news there. But then on April Fool's Day, big matchup in Philadelphia to close out the road trip against the Flyers. So, they don't get any bigger than that. A regulation win in Philly would be huge for the New York Islanders. One other note, by the way, the goal by Mathew Barzal in this game gives him 23 for the season. That is a new career high for goals in a season by Mathew Barzal. So congratulations to Barzy for that. Didn't want to forget about that because, you got to go back to his rookie season under Doug Waite, which was a much more wide open, offensive-minded system. And, of course, Barzy was on the second line because everyone was concentrating on that John Tavares fella at that point. So big congratulations to Barzal for that accomplishment. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day. And Thursday was the 60th birthday of former Islanders winger Alan Kerr, the native of Hazelton, British Columbia, a fourth-round pick of the Isles in 1982. Made his NHL debut in 84-85, became a regular in 86-87, and then put together back-to-back 20-plus goal seasons, 87-88, 24 goals, 58 points, and 198 penalty minutes. He was also a plus 30 that year in plus minus, had another 20-goal year the following season, but never, the offense started to drop off. And then after the 90-91 season, he played for Detroit and Winnipeg before his NHL career ended after the 92-93 season. 391 career NHL games, 72 goals, 166 points, and 826 penalty minutes. Add 5 goals and 9 points in 38 playoff games. And, Alan Kerr, kind of forgotten, but he was a solid player during the first few seasons that he was on the island. One of his better games as an Islander, how about November 1st, 1987? The Islanders going into the old Boston Garden. And, Kelly Rudy gets the start for the Islanders, although he did not finish the game. Billy Smith finished up. Doug Keenes, the goalie for the Bruins in this one. And Alan Kerr gets on the board in the third period on the power play. Tomas Janssen and Mikko Makala with the assist on that one. He also scored the game-tying goal with 2:06 to play with an assist by Pat LaFontaine. Oh, he also had a couple of assists. He set up Pat LaFontaine along with Derek King in the second period, and the overtime game winner, Pat LaFontaine, his 10th of the year, from Dennis Potvin and Alan Kerr. Islanders win it in OT by a score of 6-5 for Alan Kerr. 2 goals, 2 assists. He was a +2, and he had 7 shots on goal. LaFontaine was next with 5. Those two players had 12 of the Islanders' 31 shots in the game. Alan Kerr with a 4-point night as the Islanders take a big road win in Boston. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day, everydayers. We'll be back on Monday with our key takeaways from the game Saturday against the Lightning and a full preview of the April 1st game against the Philadelphia Flyers. So make sure you join us for that. Want to wish everybody who's celebrating a very happy Easter. I hope everybody enjoys their holiday and have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.